What if everything you've been told about self-improvement is actually making your life worse? We've developed a complete industry premised on us being fundamentally incomplete, continuously fixing ourselves like broken equipment. Yet here's the transformative truth. The central assumption that you need improvement is the only real flaw. Picture a wave in the ocean instantly gaining consciousness and stressing, because it's not stable like a rock, because it continuously transforms form. The wave would attempt to repair itself and achieve stability. How preposterous would that be? Yet, this is exactly what we as humans do every day. The wave is already perfect, but we've indoctrinated ourselves that we're damaged enterprises requiring constant overhaul. We've been taught an upside-down story. You hold difficulties needing answers, dimensions needing development, and if you strive adequately and locate the proper approach, you can ultimately correct yourself and transform into who you should be. This story is so woven into our culture that we rarely question it. We assume our condition as infinite works undergoing improvement. Yet, what if this basic idea is completely inside out? Here's something shocking. You are never broken, never partial, never a difficulty needing answers. The sole element needing fixing is a conviction that you require fixing. Think about nature. When you observe a tree, you don't assess its limbs as insufficient. The tree is splendid precisely as it appears. It grows and responds to its environment, yet doesn't arrange gatherings about self-advancement. We as people have acquired this skill to become our own assessors and administrators. We stare in the mirror and view a remodeling job needing attention. Trees gain wisdom too, identifying which route to grow toward radiance, how to embed roots more deeply. However, trees don't torment themselves about lacking height. They answer naturally to what life provides. The divergence is trees rely on their nature, while we've been conditioned to distrust ours. We've been conditioned to believe our impulses are suspect, our answers likely faulty. So we establish an internal monitor evaluating our every move. Am I delivering enough results? Am I progressing at the right speed? It's tiring, like harboring an obsessive manager in your thoughts, continuously deeming you inadequate. But this critic isn't your actual being. It's assimilated assessments, inherited measures from family, educators, and culture. You've absorbed a panel causing you to feel constantly insufficient. However, who notices this board? Who watches these critiques? Something in you witnesses this performance without becoming involved. That something is what you really are. You're not the thoughts about yourself. You are the consciousness in which all this manifests like weather systems moving through sky. The sky is never wounded by weather patterns. Storms emerge and fade, yet the sky remains infinite. Likewise, thoughts of lacking emerge and fade, but your core remains unaltered. You can transform and develop without the narrative that you're essentially damaged. See small children acquiring walking skills. They tumble continuously. Do they create narratives about being defective? Certainly not. They rise and attempt again, because walking appears enjoyable. Learning takes place instinctively, playfully, without self-assessment. Two ways of changing are available. One believes you're defective, like a repairman working on a faulty machine. The other understands you're already whole, like a gardener having faith in natural expansion. The mechanic struggles while the gardener cooperates with life. Most advancement approaches are mechanical. We treat ourselves like robots requiring better software. However, what if you're more like a garden having built-in intelligence? When you have faith in this knowledge, you stop warring with yourself. Instead of forcing yourself into molds, you allow your shape to emerge. When you finish fighting against yourself, you liberate colossal energy for experiencing life. Reflect on how much energy you use assessing yourself. Think if that power were available for remaining present. The person who comprehends their entire direct vitality toward expression and exploration. Here's something unexpected. When you stop endeavoring to fix yourself, aspects you believe needed fixing often settle themselves. When you discontinue creating self-criticism, your clear-sightedness emerges. Much of what we assume is wrong arises from efforts to mend what was never defective. You may think you carry an anxiety problem and use strategies to correct it, but this striving manufactures increased anxiety. What if feeling anxious occasionally is perfectly normal? When you end viewing anxiety as a problem, it frequently dissipates organically. We've been indoctrinated to think we ought to experience certain ways: delighted, certain, peaceful. However, emotions are the atmospheric conditions of consciousness, periodically stormy, periodically serene. This isn't dysfunction. The identical principle applies to personality aspects we consider flaws. Maybe you're quiet in a culture honoring extroversion. Instead of fixing these aspects, understand them as your singular contribution. Oak trees don't strive to transform into pines. Rivers don't apologize for not being mountains. When you welcome your being completely, something wonderful unfolds. You cease depleting vitality, being what you aren't. This doesn't imply you never evolve, but growth emerges from interest rather than deficiency. You learn because growth is fun. Children don't work on imagination. They simply dream naturally and effortlessly. We develop skepticism toward innate intelligence. We've converted our inner world into a company with assessments. However, your authentic nature persists, waiting for you to remember you were never broken in the first place. Here's an irony. The more you work to develop yourself, the more you solidify needing betterment. However, when you understand you were never flawed, improvement happens naturally, effortlessly. When you have faith in your being, evolution happens like flowers opening, exquisitely in their own moment. This isn't apathy, but trust in the intelligence that beats your heart. So here's a challenge. Execute a trial. For a single day, end trying to correct yourself. Approach that day as a gift to be received. Experience feelings without changing them. See thoughts without assessing. Consider yourself like a cherished companion, with tenderness, patience, and lightheartedness. You might realize you're beautiful exactly as you exist. This is the mystery. You were never damaged. You're already complete, already full, already sufficient. You're not separate from life. You are existence expressing itself through human form, and life is a dance of joy. We're all waves on the same ocean, each special, each whole, each ephemeral. When you realize this is lived experience, you can finally rest in being who you are. Your real self is more beautiful than your conceived ideal. You don't need to become more like life, because you are existence playing the role of you. The wave is the ocean playing at being a wave. If this message touched something within you, I cordially invite you to subscribe to the channel, follow for more material that challenges accepted wisdom about self-growth and personal development, and leave a comment below with the word "hold" to indicate you're prepared to embrace your entire, unbroken being exactly as you are at this moment.